All right, so you know that stack of books you've been meaning to get to? Well, today we're tackling one you guys specifically requested. Make Your Bed by Admiral McRaven.
Oh, good pick.
Right. Now, this isn't just about tidy bedrooms. We're diving into some pretty serious life lessons here, pulled straight from the world of Navy SEAL training. So get ready for a little bed making, maybe a swim with some sharks, like actual sharks, and something called the circus, which I'm guessing is a lot less fun than it sounds.
Yeah, McRaven's approach is definitely fascinating, I have to say. He takes these, really intense, high-pressure scenarios and somehow pulls out these surprisingly universal truths. Like, who would have thought a Navy SEAL would have so much in common with, well, everyone?
That's it, right? It's that idea that anyone can benefit from these lessons, even if they aren't planning on joining the SEALs anytime soon.
Exactly. It's about facing challenges head on, no matter what those challenges might be.
Exactly. And sometimes it's about finding those little things, those anchors that help you get through. Like, one of the things that really struck me was this whole idea that making your bed can set the tone for your entire day.
Oh, yeah, the make your bed principle.
Right. Now, I'll admit, when I first heard that, I kind of thought it was a bit ad much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, come on. How's a perfectly made bed going to tune you into a Navy SEAL?
Right. It sounds a little out there at first, I get it. Even McRaven himself said he was skeptical. Yeah. But it's the deeper meaning that matters. It's about the psychology of those small wins. When you start your day by accomplishing something, even something small, it kind of creates this sense of order, of control.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, think about those days when you're feeling totally overwhelmed. Just the act of getting up and making your bed, it can be a powerful reminder that you're capable of taking charge, even in a small way.
Totally. It's like that feeling of, okay, I did that. I'm up. I'm moving. I can handle this. You're building momentum from the moment you wake up.
Exactly. McRaven even talks about how that tiny victory can be calming in the middle of chaos. And I mean, if anyone knows chaos, it's a Navy SEAL.
Right. They practically invented chaos, I'd say.
It's about bringing some order to your world no matter what's happening around you.
Makes sense. Especially when you think about the whole SEAL training thing, which, speaking of, maybe you can shed some light on that for those of us who haven't exactly experienced that particular brand of chaos.
Oh man, where to even begin? SEAL training is basically designed to push you to your absolute limit, physically and mentally. We're talking sleep deprivation, insane physical challenges, and this constant pressure to perform.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's as much about mental toughness as it is about, how many push-ups you can do.
So in that context, that made bed kind of starts to make a little more sense.
Oh, for sure. It's about having something you can control in the midst of all that.
Speaking of control, one thing that really resonated with me was McRaven's emphasis on teamwork.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you can't exactly go rogue when you're a Navy SEAL, right?
Yeah, no, not going to work. He actually illustrates this really well with a story about a training exercise involving a rubber boat.
A rubber boat?
Yeah, a rubber boat.
Okay, this I gotta hear.
So picture this. You're in basic SEAL training. You're already exhausted. I mean, beyond exhausted. And they make you carry this heavy rubber boat everywhere you go. Running, through sand dunes, you name it.
Sounds delightful.
Oh, yeah, a walk in the park. But seriously, what's the point of torturing them with a boat?
Right. What's the lesson?
It's not about the boat itself. It's about what it represents. It's about interdependence. If one guy slacks off, the whole team suffers. It forces them to rely on each other, to share the burden, and ultimately to succeed or fail as a unit.
Wow. Okay, I get it. It's a crash course in we're all in this together.
Exactly, and that's a lesson that applies to, well, everything, right? Work, relationships, you name it.
Totally. Makes you think about your own team. Who are the people you can rely on? And who are you showing up for?
Right.
Which is interesting because McRaven stresses that even at the highest levels of his career, that whole reliance on his team and being there for them was crucial.
Yeah, he's said many times that leadership isn't about just giving orders. It's about empowering your team to be their best. And that starts with understanding that you're all in it together.
So we've got small wins, the power of a good team, and it makes you wonder, is there room for individual strength in all of this? Like, you've got to have some serious inherent skills to even be a SEAL,
Yeah.
right?
You'd think so, right? I mean, it's the SEALs, after all. But McRaven, actually, he tells the story about this smaller guy in his training class. And everyone, McRaven included, just assumed he wouldn't make it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So is this where the grit comes in? where it becomes more about heart than anything else?
Exactly. This guy, despite being underestimated at every turn, he just kept going. He just
Yeah.
outperformed guys twice his size through sheer determination.
Wow.
And that's a great takeaway for anyone in any field, really.
Totally.
What are those maybe less obvious strengths that you bring to the table?
I like that. Don't underestimate the underdog, or in this case, the little guy, I guess.
Right.
It makes you think twice about judging a book by its cover.
And if you want a truly awe-inspiring example of this, look no further than the story of Medal of Honor recipient Tom Norris.
Okay, now that is a story I need to hear more about. We might need a whole other deep dive just on Tom Norris.
He's quite the figure.
Yeah.
So this is a man who not only excelled in the SEALs, but then went on to face unimaginable circumstances,
Wow.
even after a severe injury during the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Norris continued to serve, even participated in this daring mission to rescue downed pilots. His story it just embodies this idea that what we're capable of often goes way beyond, physical limitations.
Yeah, it's about pushing beyond those perceived boundaries,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It really highlights how much the mind plays a role in overcoming these obstacles.
It's huge.
But, McRaven also doesn't sugarcoat the fact that sometimes those obstacles, they feel insurmountable. Like, life isn't always fair, is it?
It's so true. And he illustrates this point with kind of a unique training exercise he calls the sugar cookie punishment.
The sugar cookie punishment. Okay. First of all, what on earth is a sugar cookie punishment?
Right.
And what does it have to do with fairness or the lack thereof?
All right, so picture this. You're in SEAL training, you're exhausted, you've been pushing yourself to the max, you think you've done everything right.
Okay.
And then, out of nowhere, your instructor orders you to jump in the ocean, fully clothed.
Wait, seriously?
Oh, yeah.
For no reason. I mean, I get that SEAL training's tough, but that just seems a little excessive.
Oh, but it gets better.
It does.
After you're soaking wet, you then have to roll around in the sand until you're completely covered, head to toe, hence the sugar cookie.
That sounds unpleasant.
To say the least.
So what's the lesson there besides learning to really love sand?
It teaches them a crucial skill, which is dealing with the utter randomness of life. Okay.
Because sometimes, things happen that you have absolutely zero control over.
That's true.
It's not about what life throws at you. It's about how you respond.
So it's like life throws you a curveball, a big sandy curveball, and you just have to kind of roll with it.
Exactly. And few people embody that spirit of resilience more than McRaven himself, actually.
No, how so?
So he suffered a really serious parachuting accident that could have easily ended his career,
Oh, wow.
but he used it as fuel to come back even stronger.
It's easy to forget that even someone as accomplished as Admiral McRaven faces setbacks,
That's for sure.
It's a good reminder that it's not about avoiding failure, but it's about how you bounce back.
He even said that one of the first things he did when he could finally get out of bed on his own after the accident was make it.
A small act, but symbolic of his determination.
Talk about a testament to those small wins we were talking about.
Right.
But, overcoming those setbacks, those moments where you just kind of want to throw in the towel, that's got to take some incredible strength.
It does, and that's where McRaven's next lesson comes in, which is that failure, as difficult as it is, can actually make you stronger.
Okay.
He illustrates this through another pretty grueling training exercise he calls the circus.
The circus. Okay, I'm sensing a theme here. These phrases mean something totally different in the SEAL world.
You could say that.
So the circus, what is that?
Okay, so imagine this. You're already dead tired from SEAL training, right?
Okay.
And you mess something up. Maybe you didn't meet the time on a run, or you failed some insane obstacle course,
I can't relate to the SEAL part, but I've definitely had those days where I just feel like I'm not performing at my best.
Well, in SEAL training, if you don't meet the standard, there's no rest for the weary.
Oh no, what happened?
Instead, you get put on this list, the circus list, and it means 2 extra hours of intense exercises after everyone else gets to, I wouldn't say relax, but you get the idea.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding? Adding insult to injury.
Right.
But McRaven is saying there's a purpose to this torture.
There is. He talks about how he and his swim partner kept ending up on that list and how brutal it was. But here's the interesting part. All those extra workouts, all that pushing through exhaustion, it actually made them stronger. Not just physically, but mentally, too.
So it's about building that mental resilience, that ability to push through even when you feel like you have nothing left.
Exactly. They were no longer afraid of the circus, of failing. And because of that, they actually started performing better overall. They'd reframed failure in their minds.
It's like the saying goes, sometimes you have to lose to learn how to win.
Right. And McRaven faced his share of setbacks throughout his career as well. He was even relieved of command at one point.
Why?
There were rumors, people questioning his judgment.
Really? And he still ended up leading at the highest levels.
He did, because he used those experiences as fuel. He learned from his mistakes, he never stopped believing in himself, and he never, ever gave up. He even says that the goal shouldn't be to avoid failure, but to learn from it.
Yeah.
To reframe it as a stepping stone.
That's a powerful way to look at it. Failure is inevitable, but it's how you deal with it that defines you.
100%.
Speaking of pushing through difficult emotions.
Right. McRaven also talks about the importance of taking calculated risks. Oh, absolutely. He recounts a story about a rope obstacle during training. Okay. Yeah. And he had to choose between the slow, safe method.
Right.
Or the faster, much more intimidating way. I'm sensing a theme here.
Of course.
So what did he do?
He was terrified.
Yeah.
But he knew that sticking with the, safe, familiar way, it wouldn't get him where he wanted to be.
Yeah.
So he took a deep breath and he just went for it.
Oh.
He not only conquered his fear, but he realized he was capable of so much more than he thought.
I love those moments where you break through a perceived limitation and you're just like, oh, I can do this?
The best.
So, but this wasn't just some theoretical exercise, right?
Yeah.
Like, he took some pretty big risks in his career as well. He did. He talks about a hostage rescue in Iraq.
Okay.
High stakes, terrorists, a ticking clock.
The whole 9 yards.
The works.
So what happened?
Because he was willing to assess the risks and act decisively, he saved those hostages' lives.
Wow. Talk about a high-pressure situation.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder what we're letting fear hold us back from in our own lives.
That's a great question. And it doesn't have to be some big life or death scenario either. Even a small risk, like, speaking up in a meeting or finally pursuing that hobby you've been putting off.
Yeah.
Those can all be steps towards a more fulfilling life.
I like that. Okay, so we've tackled fear. What's next on McRaven's list of life lessons?
Well, this one might give you chills. Remember how we talked about swimming with sharks?
Oh, right. The nighttime swim and SEAL training. That's the stuff of nightmares.
They're miles from shore in open water, and the instructors made it very clear that the sharks were real.
Oh, yeah?
And they were hungry.
I think I'd be too busy hyperventilating to even think about swimming.
Right.
How do they even function in that situation, let alone, complete the exercise?
It wasn't about becoming fearless. It was about facing your fears head on. Because sometimes the only way through a challenge is straight through the middle of it.
That's intense.
Okay.
So facing your fears, even when they have fins. I'm getting the sense that a lot of these lessons are about more than just the physical challenge,
100%.
It's about training the mind to be as strong as the body.
Exactly.
It makes you think about those times in life where you feel like you're just drowning in, I don't know, difficult emotions, like you're in over your head and there's just no way out.
Yeah. McRaven actually uses another swimming analogy to address that.
Does he?
Yeah, he describes this training exercise where they had to navigate underwater, but in near complete darkness.
Oh, wow.
The pressure was immense, literally and figuratively.
Talk about disorienting. I
Yeah.
can't even imagine trying to keep your cool in that situation.
Oh, it would have been easy to panic, to just give up, but he had to dig deep, trust his training, and just focus on putting one fin in front of the other.
Wow.
Even in those darkest moments, it's about finding that tiny sliver of light and moving towards it.
I like that. But what about those times when you need to be strong, not just for yourself, but for other people? When you're going through your own struggles, how do you find the strength to offer support?
That's a great question. And it's something McRaven addresses pretty directly. He talks about this importance of offering hope, even, and maybe especially when you're up to your neck in it, literally in this case.
Okay, how so?
We're back to the mud.
Ah, yes. The mud. The infamous Hell Week mud pit. I've heard stories.
It was the most grueling part of SEAL training. Sleep deprivation, constant physical challenges, and of course the mud. All designed to break them down, to make them want to quit.
So how'd they get through it?
Yeah.
Besides, showering for a week straight afterwards.
McRaven describes this moment in the middle of all the exhaustion and misery when one of the guys starts singing.
Singing.
Singing. And it's a completely ridiculous, totally inappropriate song.
Of course it is.
But something about it just cuts through the darkness.
Yeah.
And pretty soon, everyone's singing along.
Even the instructors.
Well, they tried to shut it down at first, but McRaven says you could see on their faces like they got it. Because it wasn't really about the song itself, it was about finding hope in the darkest of places.
Yeah.
And the power of that hope to lift everyone up.
It's amazing how something so simple, like a song, can have such a profound impact.
It's true. It's this reminder that even small acts of hope can be incredibly powerful, especially when someone's struggling. And McRaven actually ties this into the story of General John Kelly, a man who really exemplified strength and resilience, but in the face of unimaginable loss.
General Kelly, he lost his son in Afghanistan, didn't he?
He did. And yet, even facing that kind of personal tragedy, Kelly found a way to offer solace, support to other families who had also lost loved ones in service to their country.
That's the true definition of strength, isn't it? To turn your own pain into something that helps others.
Absolutely. And it's a reminder that we all have that capacity to be that source of hope and strength for others, even in small ways. Sometimes just lending an ear, offering a kind word, it can make all the difference.
It's a powerful message. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've got small wins, teamwork, inner strength, resilience, facing your fears, taking risks, finding hope. What's the final takeaway? What's the, I don't know, the mic drop moment that kind of ties it all together?
It's simple, but it's profound. Never, ever give up.
I knew you were going to say that. But I got to ask, what does that look like in the SEAL world? How do they convey that message?
McRaven describes a brass bell, and it hung in the middle of the compound during training. Anytime, day or night, if you wanted to quit, all you had to do was ring that bell 3 times.
Wow. Just like that, you're out. No more freezing swims, no more mud, no more circus.
Exactly. But it also meant giving up on your dreams, on your team, and ultimately on yourself.
So it was a test of mental toughness as much as anything else.
Oh, absolutely. And it's something that stayed with McRaven throughout his entire career, especially when he was faced with, difficult decisions, seemingly insurmountable challenges.
It makes you realize, those who achieve great things, they aren't superhuman. They've just learned the power of perseverance.
And it's not about never failing, it's about getting back up every single time. And to illustrate this, McRaven talks about the story of Adam Bates.
Adam Bates.
Yeah, this young soldier who lost both of his legs in Afghanistan.
Oh my gosh, that's awful.
It was a devastating injury, absolutely. But Bates refused to let it define him. McRaven talks about visiting him in the hospital and how even then, Bates was determined to recover, to keep going.
Wow.
He went on to do amazing things, relearn to walk, competed in athletic competitions, just continued to inspire everyone around him with his spirit.
That's incredible. Talk about the power of the human spirit. To go through something so horrific and come out the other side even stronger, it's truly inspiring.
It really highlights that core message that McRaven drives home throughout the book. Life will test you, but it's that perseverance, that grit, that refusal to quit that ultimately defines us.
So to bring it all back, we've got 10 powerful lessons from Make Your Bed, right? From the importance of starting small, to the strength we find in teamwork, to facing our fears, and never, ever giving up.
And what's remarkable is, while these lessons came from McRaven's experiences in the SEALs, they're surprisingly universal.
Absolutely. It's a good reminder that we all face challenges, big and small, and that we all have that power within us to overcome them.
Sometimes those small, seemingly insignificant actions, like making your bed, they can be the first step.
What a great note to end on. Well, if you'll excuse me, I have a bed to make and a whole new perspective, I think, to bring to my day.
As do I. It really makes you think. If even making your bed can be a stepping stone to something greater, what else are we capable of achieving when we embrace those small wins and never give up on ourselves?
That is a powerful thought to leave you with. Thanks for diving in with us today.